Somebody said it looks like Arkanoid. I was like, I never played Arkanoid. Somebody said it looks like Vampire Survivors, based on like when you gather up resources, you unlock skills and level them up, during the course of a run. There's a feel to it that's kind of like Hades 2 because it's a roguelite. But man, the story on this one is light. I mentioned it last week. They basically go, there's a pit down there. There's cool stuff in there. What if we went down to the pit? What if we went down to the pit and pulled up the cool stuff that's in there? Hey everybody, welcome to episode 22 of the Andy B Show. This is a video game podcast for adult gamers. If that describes you or someone you know and love, welcome to the show. So glad you're here. I've got a sugar-free Barks root beer in my hand right now, the little Barks Zero, and I'm ready to talk to you about video games. I've played some this week. Maybe you have too. Let's talk about it. Look, the fact is, it's been about Ball Pit. If you haven't been playing Ball Pit, I think the X is just for goofs. Like, I don't really think that I don't think they care about the X. Maybe it's like a cross pit, it's like, it is unexplainable why there's an X in Ball Pit. And if there is an explanation, to be honest with you, I don't want to know what it is. Please don't comment and tell me what the explanation is. I just want it to be mysterious. I hope that's enough. I had some fun this week. Earlier, I streamed for like the first time. I streamed an actual stream, a vertical stream out on YouTube, so that it shows up in people's phones as they're scrolling, which is fun. Doing the Ball Pit, so doing some of the management of the town up above the pit. We did a little bit of diving deep down into the pit, and that was a lot of fun. So yeah, if you joined me for that stream, or if you want to catch it, it's on the YouTube channel. You can just search for it out there by, if you're on YouTube right now watching this show, you know where I'm at, but you can just search for the Andy B Show, and it's out there on YouTube. You can watch the replay. I do plan on streaming more. I mentioned a few weeks ago that I got, a new Elgato 4KS streaming card, which has been pretty good. And it's been easy. One of the things that's exposed in my office setup, because I don't actually work in Chicago's famous The Beef, original beef sandwich restaurant, even though it looks like that in my background if you're watching me on the live stream, is that I got too many cords and they're stretching across this office in like really weird ways, because now I'm connecting the Switch to a streaming capture card back to the Mac, and it's kind of all over the place. So I'm as soon as this show is done recording today, I'm recording this on Sunday, October 19th. You're going to hear it on Monday, October 20th. As soon as I'm done, I'm rearranging this entire office. Like it has to happen. There's too many cords. I ordered some extra long HDMI cords and USB-C cords from Amazon so I can like reconfigure this place, because I work here and I also play in here. And so it needs to work for two computers, one monitor, keyboard and mouse, a host of game consoles. Like, I don't know, I see these pictures of folks that have like this wonderful desk setup. I'm like, how are you doing that? Like, I need to hire you to come do, I guess people do that professionally, right? They hire somebody to come do what, cable management? Anyway, maybe. It's Ball Pit, folks. Ball Pit is the video game of the week. When we get down to the update towards the end of the show, we'll be getting to this segment. Should really get back to that game. The new segment I introduced a week or two ago now. And Ball Pit's going to be number one. Spoiler alert. There are new games that I've added to the list, so you should stick around for that and see where they rank on the I should really get back to that game list. But I've unlocked this ability in Ball Pit to get just some really wild combos. So if you don't know what Ball Pit is, because you haven't been hanging around with me, but somehow you're also stumbled across this show, Ball Pit is a brick breaking, like somebody said it looks like Arkanoid. I was like, I never played Arkanoid. Somebody said it looks like Vampire Survivors, based on like when you gather up resources, you unlock skills and level them up, during the course of a run. There's a feel to it that's kind of like Hades 2 because it's a roguelite. But man, the story on this one is light. I mentioned it last week. They basically go, there's a pit down there. There's cool stuff in there. What if we went down to the pit? What if we went down to the pit and pulled up the cool stuff that's in there? Well, there's all kinds of enemies down there. Like when you go to like level 4, you're in like this weird desert situation, and there's the Sphinx is down there for some reason. There's cool stuff down in the pit. I've been playing this, pretty much nonstop since it came out on Wednesday last week on my birthday. Happy birthday to me and to you. Hey, if you're out there and it's your birthday, happy birthday. The ball pit just keeps going. And one of the things that happens, you take a character down in the ball pit, you're breaking the enemies using the pinballs, which is what I've decided to call the tiny balls. They have two types. They have these little small pinballs that they call baby balls in the game. And I realized in my first like 5 minutes of streaming the game that I can't just keep calling the tiny pinballs baby balls because it feels really weird to say. So I'm going to call them pinballs. And then they have the power balls, which is probably not great because there's a huge copyright infringement waiting to happen. So power balls, specials, power-ups, those are the big ones. Those are ones that can inflict like frost and heat damage over time. You can have ones that are like little, they call them like an egg sac, where it'll attach to an enemy and then sprout off like little pinballs when the egg explodes. There's a lot of ball options in here. But anyway, the special balls and the pinballs are the two of them. And you can get, some characters are like, yeah, no pinballs, just the specials. Then you have this combo that I've got now where you can take two people down at a time. So the Repentant is one of the characters and the Shade is another. The Shade is so wild. The first time I unlocked the Shade, I was like, I don't even know what to do with this guy. The Shade doesn't fire the balls from the bottom of the screen up like you would expect in like a brick breaking kind of game. It fires them from behind. So the enemies are dropping down and the balls, the pinballs, are firing from the back of the screen as if you're back there shooting them, but no, your character's up front. And as the enemies move towards you, if there's a lot of them, then your balls that are in the back might not hit the enemies up front, and then they could really damage you. I was like, what is this? Why would I want a character where I can't defend myself because the pinballs and specials are stuck behind enemy lines? Well, then you end up with this building that you unlock where you can combo. You can bring down two people. So if you bring down the Shade, where he fires the balls from behind towards the front, which is opposite everybody else, and the Repentant, his special power is that all the balls never bounce off of anybody. They don't bounce off the enemies. They just pass through them. Well, suddenly now you are pulling almost like a spell, like you're using the Force, pulling all of the pinballs and special ball damage right through the enemies, right into your hands. And so it's like this like vacuum. You're like sucking all these, sucking the ball. Sucking all these pinballs up into the vacuum, and it's just passing through the enemies. And then you can get special power-ups where it says, oh, if you hit an enemy from behind, it'll give a critical hit, or more likely to get a critical hit. So now you're just pulling the pinballs towards you through the enemies from behind, which means it's critical hitting them every time or almost every time. And I'm like, suddenly I've got this powerhouse of a character, but the game is also designed to where you don't really stick with those characters for long. You end up getting 30% more coins or resources if you pick a different character every time. And so there's a reason to keep like using different characters and trying different combos. And every run is short. A long run, a full run in like Hades 2 can be 30, 40 minutes because there's all this story and exposition and decisions. And with this one, it's like 12 minutes. The fast runs are like 10 minutes. So you're like, I got time for one more. I could do another one. It's pretty great. Ball Pit at $15. Like, I haven't made the game of the year list, but it's going to be under consideration. That's for sure. So if you've been hanging out with me doing Ball Pit, whether live or you just playing it, let me know. Like, let me know what you're playing. You know, Battlefield 6 came out, and I didn't think Ball Pit would make me forget about that, but here we are. Yeah, I promise that's the last time I'll talk about Ball Pit today. I think I can promise that. Locked in. Not going to talk about it anymore. There it is. What's going on in the Patreon? You can follow me over there at patreon.com/theandybshow. Couple of updates this week. We are now 15 members strong. Now, if that doesn't seem like a lot, let me just tell you, getting somebody to hang out with me on Patreon is like a lot, right? Because most of you find me from TikTok or from Threads or YouTube, wherever you follow me at andrew.m.b or the Andy B Show. So thank you, all 15 of you that are hanging out with me there on Patreon. Why would you go over there, right? Well, we get subscriber exclusive podcasts. I just released the latest episode, special podcast. You could only get it there. And it's up as of Thursday of last week, the latest episode of that. The Gaming 411 newsletter is always free, but you can only get it there. So you do have to click subscribe, but it's free. You can be a free subscriber. You can also be a friend of the show tier. And there's 3 of you that are friends of the show. So I'm going to give a quick shout out. I hope it's okay to The Mess, Poppy, and our newest friend of the show, Gator Teeth. Thank you so much for supporting the show. It costs a lot. It turns out I keep buying stuff for the show to do it, and more software and things like that to run it, make it look great, sound great. So it's at some point I'll be making I'll break even. I don't know when that'll be. In the meantime, thank you so much for supporting the show. You really help make it happen and keep the show alive. Appreciate you, The Mess, Poppy, and Gator Teeth. Feel free to go to the patreon.com/the Show to join. And you don't have to subscribe. You could just get the Gaming 411 newsletter for free. That's fine with me. But thank you to our friends of the show. Okay. We've got some quick news updates here I'd like to talk about. There's always, anytime you think the game industry is like slowing down, it's so big that there's always like another event going on. And by the time you think all the events are done, it'll be the Game Awards, like before you know it. The old Jeff Keighley special. Meantime, the ID at Xbox showcase is on October 28th. So you're going to see updates from these kind of indie developers, right? They said there's going to be a 50-minute broadcast with new trailers, looks, and gameplay for independent games from publishers and developers, including Raw Fury, Serenity Forge, Skybound Games, Thunder Lotus Games, and many more. For those of you that are like, this comes from Gamatsu.com. Thank you, Gamatsu. Anybody that's like, oh yeah, man, games are boring in 2025. It's like, no, it's not. And these indie games, the big games are also great. Ghost of Yotei, which I haven't played, is looking great. Battlefield 6 turns out pretty great. Some people are not big on the campaign, but fine. But then all these little indie games are great. I say little, like Hades 2 is one of the biggest indie games of the year. It's been hotly anticipated. But Ball Pit, a lot of people are like, what is Ball Pit? Like, what is that? And I'm telling you, if I see a trailer for like a game that just seems like right up my alley, like I'm going to tell you about it. So anyway, that's coming. Mark your calendars. What other quick news updates do we have? Oh, right. Yeah. There's an unbelievable, unending, unceasing amount of video games if you're part of these subscription services. And sure enough, you can check out some new games coming to PlayStation Plus game catalog. You have to be on like PlayStation Plus Extra or Premium for this, but they've announced games for October that are going to be in the game catalog, including Yakuza Like a Dragon, which I started on Xbox. And then my game save is orphaned over there since I haven't subscribed. But it's coming back around. I could start over the 50-hour plus RPG adventure if I want to. Silent Hill 2, which is like, this is like the remake of Silent Hill 2, I think. They did a remake. Yeah. The highly anticipated. If you like scary games, not for me. It's October. No surprise. Next scary game, Until Dawn. That one apparently is fun to stream because you have to decide, like, it's like a, one of those movies where, like, it's like a summer scary flick where, like, everybody's gonna die and you just don't know which one, but you kind of help figure that out. V Rising is a vampire survival action RPG. Okay. Bunch of scary games. Yakuza Like a Dragon's coming out. Poppy Playtime, which looks creepy. Yep. Horror puzzle adventure. Dusk Falls, a gripping crime drama. Now that one's interesting. I remember seeing that one. That one came out, I think, on Xbox Game Pass like last year. But it's like a drama set back in the late 90s. And I feel like it was like super well acted, like the trailer. Right? Yeah, here it is. Created by the lead designer of Heavy Rain, Beyond Two Souls, a branching multiplayer interactive drama. So choose your own adventure for video games. The next one coming up here is called Wizard with a Gun. Seems all right. They got Tekken 3 for PlayStation Plus Premium. So those are the new games coming out for PlayStation Plus game catalog in October. And one of the things that I'm kind of excited about, the other quick hit, it's almost just like a reminder, oh, before you forget, well, hold on, let me add it to the list. We're gonna go we're gonna go over the list. October 23rd, Bounty Star is coming out. Bounty Star is a video game about mechs. One of my most popular TikToks of all time was me just talking about Bounty Star in the trailer for the first time. They've released this like advanced combat guide, which is out there on Steam. Ben Ruiz, the director and combat designer of Bounty Star, a 3D action game that blends customizable mech combat with some light base building and homesteading. I like base building. I don't know how I feel about homestead. Maybe in a video game, I could be a homesteader. So, yeah, you get into these mechs, and they're going to do a lot with loadouts. So there's a whole guide that's in here that, it's like a 3D action combat Titanfall to me. You're going to go to these little areas. You're going to hunt people down. You're going to get in your mech. You're going to set up your loadout. I don't know. I'm super interested. We'll see what happens when Bounty Star releases on October 23rd. It is going to be on Xbox Game Pass, probably Ultimate, right? Like it's probably not going to be on the introductory version. That's what we're finding. That's the quick hit for news. If it's okay with you, I'd love to take a quick break. But before we do that, a quick word from our sponsor. Maybe not a sponsor. Look, I just would love to talk to you for a minute about Whisperflow. It's an application I use all the time. And just so you know, as I said last week, I would never recommend anything to you if I didn't actually use it and like it myself. And so here's the pitch. Do you hate typing? I do. I type way too much. I have to constantly type for work. And now, even for fun, but I can use my voice now. So Whisperflow basically takes vocal dictation, adds the punctuation, paragraph breaks, and it does it so fast. It looks great with whatever I'm talking about. I write my Gaming 411 newsletter using this, where I can take my thoughts, dictate them, and it cleans up just the punctuation and everything for me. So it's really what I said, but it's typed out in a way that's super readable. Most people type at like 40 to 60 words per minute when they're going for it. And with Whisperflow, here's the updated stats: 122 words per minute. I've been using it for 6 weeks. In over 40 apps, it tracks, because every time you like copy it into a new app, it's like new app. Over 26,000 words dictated from my mouth to a text box somewhere. The fact is, the built-in microphone on like iOS and Mac, as good as it is, unless you're like running it through something like Whisperflow, it's going to get the words wrong. It's going to get proper nouns wrong. It's going to get very specific things about like your work or home life wrong or misspelled. Well, Whisperflow's got like a dictionary, so it'll remember things the way you spell them, the way that you talk about them. And you can even do like these macros where you can, say a certain phrase and that will print out an entire thing. So if you have something like you're constantly repeating, you can just go like, whatever the phrase is, and it'll dump out that text for you. So you can set up macros. But basically you could speak into it in any application on your phone, on your, work machine, Slack, Notion, text messages, whatever. I use it in Game of Thrones Legends when I'm talking to my alliance. So if I'm going to be like, hey, who's using Viserys Targaryen? It gets that right. It knows how to spell it. You get 2 weeks free of premium, but then even if you don't subscribe, you get 2,000 words per week dictated if you check the link in the show notes. So if you decide to become a power user and purchase a subscription, it's an affiliate link, so I get a little bit of that, but it's no pressure and no cost to you to try it out. No extra cost. Like you get all the same stuff, but it helps me out. So it's just something I wanted to share with you. Thanks. Yeah. Thanks WhisperFlow for being a part of the show. Thanks to you. If you try it out, let me know how you like it. Like I'm in on it, man. Like I really like it. Okay. Let's take a quick break and we'll be right back. And we're back. Good to see you here. Hey, you know who's worried about this whole EA getting bought by the Saudis deal? Turns out some senators are worried about it. Blumenthal and Elizabeth Warren both expressed profound concern over the $55 billion EA buyout involving the Saudi Arabia's Public Investment Fund, or PIF, citing national security risks and foreign influence concerns. So Noble News, Knoebel News, one of these guys that he's a video game news head on Threads. You could follow him. He sent this article out from GameDeveloper.com that says U.S. senators are concerned about foreign influence in the EA buyout. United States Senators Richard Blumenthal and Elizabeth Warren are concerned about this deal. They said, quote, leveraging long-term shifts in public opinions through the PIF's investment, Saudi Arabia is seeking to normalize its global image, expand its cultural reach, and gain leverage in spaces that shape how billions of people connect and interact. They really are worried about that new Battlefield 7 campaign. For sure. Somebody else said this, though. Is Saudi Arabia, through this purchase, going to put in so much influence in how people see the Saudi royal family or the country that it's going to shift public opinion? Like, maybe $60 billion is a heck of a amount of money to spend on doing that. Maybe you could do it some other way if that's really what they want to do. It might be more like this, though. Down in the article, it says the senator said the national security risks include surveillance of Americans, covert Saudi propaganda, and selective retaliation and censorship of persons disfavored by the Saudi government. So, okay, this is a great quote by New York University School of Business assistant professor Joost van Drunen. They said gaming is the new oil. That's an incredible pull quote. Isn't the oil enough? Like, I guess not. The surveillance thing's interesting, right? Because, EA has, and every other game developer, basically through these platforms of PlayStation and, I guess if you're using like EA Play on the PC, that's their own platform, will end up pulling all your game telemetry data, just how many third downs did you not punt? Did you go for? In Madden, they're going to pull in what weapon attachments are the hottest ones in Battlefield 6? What data are they going to pull from the game telemetry and then use it in Saudi Arabia? But more and more of these games are recording the chats. They're checking for things like abuse and people that are, saying nasty things to each other, because we can't. Look, the Call of Duty 4 lobbies are over, baby. Like nobody can handle that amount of like toxic vitriol, and they record it. They record it and then have a machine learning analyze it and then flag you if you're in Call of Duty. I don't know if Battlefield does it. I assume EA is doing it, where they're using machine learning on your chats. Nobody's actually like listening to them, you know. But if there's enough going on where it figures out the sentiment and words of what you're saying, like hit a certain threshold. I don't have like inside information on this. I'm just going like I could suss out like how they're doing it, right? And so it's going to hit a certain threshold and then flag you and maybe ban you or maybe have somebody review it. Or if you are playing against somebody and they like report you, maybe it'll snapshot like, you know, the last 30 minutes of text chat or voice chat you've been doing. So you go, okay, well, actually, hold on now. What do people do in their spare time? They play video games. An increasing amount of people, as a percentage of the population from millennials on down, are going to continue to play video games over time and then chat with their friends on them. You know, I'll get on cross game chat in Helldivers with some buddies, and it's like, oh, I'd like to talk about work, you know, while we're playing maybe, but these are like open chat mics, and even if they weren't open, you know, where anybody could join the party, they're recording this stuff. It is not a secure platform to talk about anything. And, you know, our government officials aren't always using the secure platforms with which they've been given to talk about things. Sometimes they're using, you know, Telegram, hopefully not Instagram, but who knows? And they're definitely going to be like, hey, man, let's talk about this. Let's talk about the bill while we play some Madden. And the Saudis are listening then, maybe. Could be. Yeah, so the senators are worried about it. I don't know that they're going to be able to stop the deal. Like, it's not a merger they're selling. Like, can they block it? I guess they could, right? The senators are asking the Committee on Foreign Investment in the United States to investigate these risks of the deal and publicly report its findings. So, like, here's I can't figure out who this quote's from. But somebody says, what regulator is going to say no to the president's son-in-law? Right. Because it's not just the Saudis. It's like a 3-party deal buying out EA. Part of it is Saudi Arabia's PIF. Part of it is an American private equity fund, Silver Lake. And Jared Kushner's investment firm, Affinity Partners. Yeah, so the deal's going through, probably. And it would be politically difficult to get it to not go through, given the current like power structure in the U.S. government. So that's weird. Like, that's video games talk that is not boring, but like, how do you predict what's going to happen there? The prediction is that it's going to sell. That's my prediction. That it's going to sell. The deal's going to go through. And then we're going to leak national security secrets over Battlefield 6 chat. Probably. That'll probably happen. Yeah. Let's talk about a game that just, as far as I know, like really got on my radar this week. There was a thread here from Hazador Gaming 9 on Threads, where the game developers for the video game Exodus did a Q&A, like a 12-minute video. It's an upcoming action-adventure RPG set in the futuristic universe of space. One of my favorite futuristic universes, honestly. They're talking about things like the game's stealth, combat, enemy variations, side quests, and more info later this year, but you can wishlist the game. And I was like, wait a minute, I feel like I've read about this a little bit, but I don't feel like I've like what is this game? A question I ask myself frequently because there's so many games out there. That apparently came out for the Game Awards 2023. And I was like, what is this? And it looks like a new Mass Effect. And so I went to the comments on the YouTube channel, and sure enough, it's being built out there in Archetype Entertainment. I don't know if it's the first game from that group, but a lot of people from BioWare, who made Mass Effect, And even the ship that they find in the cinematic trailer, which is all like, there's no gameplay in this until later, if you're watching the video version. But you can go, there's a bunch of video about this game out there now. The ship that they find underground even looks like the Mass Effect ship, the Normandy. It's got the same kind of like silhouette. And this very Mass Effect coded in this cinematic trailer, and they do show a little bit of gameplay in it. But I didn't realize I was watching a trailer that was almost 2 years old. There's newer trailers with more gameplay, but this cinematic trailer, like the two main characters in it end up, they're under attack. The main dude like fires off, he tricks his compatriot into a breakaway compartment, an emergency escape pod, and he sends her off, and then he goes doing not time travel, but the faster than light travel away. And one of the things they do in the trailer is they really go like, oh, we're going to care about the fact that when you go into faster than light travel, the time dilation makes a difference. Where the guy is going through the time dilation, he's going through faster than light. So for him, he moves, he spends a couple of days in FTL, it's, travel speed, gets to where he's going, but everybody else around him is aged decades, right? So faster than light travel is something that we have in video games and even in Mass Effect, but they've never dealt with the fact that generations are going to go by while you're in FTL travel to the other side of the galaxy. In Mass Effect, they never bring it up at all. They just go, it's fine. Like, it's all real time. The whole universe in Mass Effect operates in real time together. And you don't worry about it because you go, that's fine, no problem. But this game's going to tackle it. It's going to go, when we move, to the new location in FTL, the rest of the universe ages very, very quickly in relation to the main character. So I don't know how many times they're going to hit FTL travel, but it seems like more than once. And in the trailer, there's like a very like Interstellar type moment where, if you remember from Interstellar, like one of the middle scenes of the movies, they spend time on a planet that's near a black hole. And so the time I think it's like 1 second on the planet is like a couple of days outside of it because of the time dilation. And so Matthew McConaughey's character like goes down to the planet. He gets stuck there for 10 minutes or something like that. And like 20 or 30 years has passed or more. I can't remember how much. I need to see the movie again. It's a great movie. It's tough. It's tough emotionally, because he loses decades with his daughter as a result. And he ends up waking up to all of these like videos from her and like just crashes out. He can't handle it, and it's very emotional. Somebody with small kids is like, oh man, if I missed 20, 30 years of my kids growing up, that'd be just the worst thing you could take from me, be terrible. So it's very Interstellar, and it's very Keeper of the Dead. Like, if you read the Orson Scott Card book, Keeper of the Dead, they dealt with this, or Orson Scott Card dealt with it. In the first book, which was the one everybody knows, or, they made a movie out of it with Harrison Ford, though he was just an old general. He wasn't like the main character. And I can't remember the name of that one. Why not? Ender's Game. But in Keeper of the Dead, they dealt with the faster than light travel and time dilation in a way that they did not bother with I don't know if they didn't bother with. It's core to the plot, actually, but you didn't really get into it until like the end. In Keeper of the Dead, you have the brother and the sister, the main characters from the first book. The brother goes off into space. He's got a calling out there. He's got to go. He's got to get out there into space. And his sister stays back home on Earth, and they are fighting a real battle, if you will, in the physical form, and then a battle for people's minds. And it's been a while since I've read the book, but they, in that universe, have set up a synchronous communication where they can talk to each other. But if they want to travel to see each other, one of them is going to not age and the other one's going to age. And so to think like you're going to make this jump across space is kind of going like, who am I going to say goodbye to on Earth? Everybody? Like, do I leave Earth and everybody I know by the time I get to where I'm going is gone so that I can be next to the person who already left? It's really creepy to think about. Physics, man. I got to tell you. But it turns out as well that Drew Karpyshyn, who was the lead writer of Mass Effect 1 and 2, is on this game, as well as a bunch of other BioWare folks. I've read some novels by Drew about Mass Effect. It's been a while, but he's a good writer, great writer. Mass Effect 2, one of the best games of all time. And so this game is like, I'm going to watch the Q&A. I haven't watched it before the show, but I've added Exodus to the list, which we'll get to the list in a few minutes. There's a lot of show today like this, but man, there's so many more topics to get to. I'm going to have to like speed run a couple of these topics. I wonder. One of the things I wanted to chat with you about is not just sci-fi. How about some weird stuff like this new game from Psychonauts developer Double Fine? This just came out this week. I've not played this because I don't have Game Pass Ultimate right now. But I did see Alpha Beta Gamer. Well, let me give them a follow. They're an account on Threads, Alpha Beta Gamer. You can find them there. They produced a YouTube video and they shared some clips of it. And I was like, what is this? Like, I've heard of Keeper. I've seen the key art for Keeper, but I hadn't actually watched like a video of it. I was like, oh, well, I'll play it whenever it's on the middle tier of Xbox Live, maybe, or Xbox Game Pass. But yeah, this game is about this bird and a lighthouse, and they go on adventures. And I don't actually know if I can explain it to you. It looks like a psychedelic trip. It looks like a little bit of a platformer, a little bit of character, a little bit of puzzle solving, which is to say a Double Fine game, right? Almost every game they've had has been some type of a little bit creepy, but also beautiful. And also the game mechanics are unexplainable. And you'll probably feel something towards the end while they also have humor throughout. So like, this game looks wild. Like, have you played Keeper? I'm going to play it at some point. I still need to beat Psychonauts 2. And Psychonauts 2 is a crazy game where you're like a psychic spy and you embed in other people's brains and solve puzzles. And sometimes you're stealing memories and sometimes you're helping people. I have no idea like what the core plot is here, except that this bird and this anthropomorphic lighthouse, which has legs and can crawl around and shine its light on things, like, like on the edge of the, peering out into the sea lighthouse kind of lighthouse. It looks weird. It looks real weird. So, yeah. Thank you to Alpha Beta Gamer for putting that in front of me. Tim Schafer calls it the most beautiful, unique walking lighthouse game you've ever seen. It's a great quote from Tim. Okay, I'm going to take a sip of this Bark Soup here. And we're going to take a look at the list. I should really get back to that game list. This is the segment we've done now. This is the second week of this segment. I should really get back to that game, which this is, if you go to patreon.com, you're welcome to see the link for this if you'd like to check it out. I've started to add in like trailer links and stuff. We'll see if I keep doing that. I don't know. We got a couple of games on the list here. This is how it looked last week, but I add stuff down to the bottom as I find it and talk about it. So I added Exodus. We've talked about this today, and Bounty Star. And this is not a to-do list. Some folks have asked that. It's like, well, you're going to do all these? And I was like, this is just, I'm thinking about the game and I should really get back to it. And some games haven't even come out yet. Bounty Star, Exodus haven't even come out yet. But I like to just kind of re-rank the list. As a reminder to me of like, oh, when I forget about a game, maybe I'll look at the list. And at some point I'll roll credits on one of these and be done with it. And maybe I'll mark it that way. I'm trying not to overcomplicate the list. It's just designed to be real simple and able to be reformatted. So we added Exodus. I'm going to do a little reordering here. Exodus isn't out yet, so it's going down to the bottom. I'm still more likely to get into Ghost of Tsushima than I am Hollow Knight. And matter of fact, since Ball Pit has got me away from Hades 2, I might play Ghost of Tsushima before I get back to Hades 2. I would say that Overcooked 2 is pretty likely. It Takes Two is probably up behind Hades. Just depends on what my daughter wants to play. Ball Pit's the number one, but I got an invite from a good buddy to say like, hey, you want to, are we playing Battlefield 6 this weekend? So I'll probably play Battlefield 6 next. And that's probably the list. A Bounty Star, that comes out this week. This week is Bounty Star. Thursday. I don't know. Maybe Annapurna Interactive will send me a code. Maybe they'll send me. If you send me a code, I'll be playing it this week. I don't know if I'm buying another game, though. It was just my birthday. I don't know. I feel like there's enough games. I'll probably play Hollow Knight and Cocoon before Bounty Star, unless they send me a code. We'll see. Annapurna, if you're out there, the email address is in the podcast info. Okay, I think that's it. So not a lot of changes this week. Ball Pit's number 1, Battlefield 6 number 2, Overcooked 2 is number 3, Ghost of Tsushima is number 4, and the top 5 is rounded up by Hades 2. So that's kind of where it's at. And I expect some of these games will just kind of, as we add things and move them down the list, the list will get longer. But this is a public list. Anybody can go in there and look at it. I'm the only one that could edit it, but you can go look. And I guess if I keep adding in trailers and stuff, might be a great reason to go look at it. I don't know. So I should really get back to that game. Thanks for checking out the segment once again. Another new segment in the show today, brand new segment. I hope you're excited for this one. It's called Watch It, Bucko. This is where I talk about things that I watched but not played. This is where we talk about things that are like movies and TV shows. So I went and saw a movie that no one would go watch with me, called Tron Ares. Tron Ares is the third in the Tron series, and it actually is, like it's a sequel. They reference all the stuff that happened in the first 2 movies, like the second movie did reference the stuff from the first movie. So it pays homage back to those things, but it's new main characters. There's Jared Leto as this Master Control, kind of a bad guy program built by the bad guy in the movie, the guy that's trying to sell all of the grid and what can come out of the grid using lasers. So they're like 3D printing stuff that's in the grid, including Jared Leto as a super security person. He's trying to sell it all to the military. And corporation versus corporation, the Flynn Corporation, I can't remember the name of it, is kind of like trying to find the good in this technology so that they'll stick around, not only for the future, but also to improve humanity. So the MacGuffin in this one is all about whether or not things that you pull from the grid can exist in the real world. And everything decomposes after 29 minutes. Unless they find the permanence code. So you can pull Jared Leto and his like fancy character and his light cycle into the real world, but it'll just shatter into dust after 29 minutes for no good reason, except plot. But that's the plot. And they're trying to find the permanence code. And not only can they pull people into the grid, but they can pull stuff out to fight over the permanence code. And what they figure, hey, once we get the permanence code, like then we can just make food and people can eat it. We can make buildings, and it's the idea of like permanent improvements to human society, right? Hey, we can build things for free, we can eat for free, we can have infinite energy for free. We just 3D print it off the grid. And I don't think that makes sense with physics. And the permanence code is just a weird MacGuffin. And a lot of people didn't like this movie, or not a lot of people liked it enough to where that they're going to make a 4th one. They've promised that we're done. It came in, I think they got like 30 million domestically and like 60 or 90 million internationally, something like that, but it was way below what they expected. So it's good but below. But from my view, in 3D, this was I really enjoyed it. I like this movie. Now you might go, Andrew, you plebeian, you weirdo, like how could you like something that Jared Leto made? I don't know. I thought it was great. There was a great Tron movie. I thought it was like super understandable. Suspension of disbelief with Tron always has to be there. But I thought it was really good. Yeah. I enjoyed it. If you could see it in 3D, I'd recommend it. Like I really liked it in 3D. Watch it, bucko, as they say. What else is on the watch it bucko list? Oh, I want to see this one, but I haven't yet. This is from the writer of the John Wick franchise. I've watched some John Wick. Is Splinter Cell Death Watch on Netflix. So if you were into Splinter Cell, the old Sam Fisher games where you're like a bad guy or a CIA, are you good or bad? Are we back into like the argument about whether militarized agents are good people? It's a spy franchise, and this one's like animated, so it's like 8 30-minute episodes. Looks like it's gonna have a little violence in there, but it's on my list. I'll probably check that out. Mrs. B and I started Slow Horses yesterday, which is on Apple TV, which has a really old, mean, nasty Gary Oldman running like an arm of MI5 out there in Britain land, and nobody's happy. But they're trying to figure out some spy stuff. Like you get a bunch of demoted agents that have, basically been put on a PIP. You get put on a PIP in MI5. They send you out to Gary Oldman's office to work for a while, and he hates everybody. And so it's all miserable right now. But we're going to give it a few more episodes. I thought it was good. All right. That's Watch It, Bucko. That's the new segment. Let me know if you like it. If you want to hear more about stuff I'm watching, not just playing. Would love to give a shout out to listeners in a country that I've not yet recognized. 0.3% of my listeners, which is a small amount, but there's some of you out there in Mexico are listening to and watching the podcast on the podcast apps. So I had to go look up what's a gaming fact about Mexico, and thank you to the Mexicans out there listening to me. So from Statista.com, over 77% of the population of Mexico play video games. So in 2022, that was over 104.1 million of you. The second largest gaming audience in Latin America, in Mexico. So I got to say, 0.3% of my listeners, man, share with your friends out there. I don't know Spanish, but I did take a few years of it in high school. Thank you for listening to me, wherever you are, including in Mexico. A couple more community spotlight recognitions here. James had a super cool, interesting take on my take about Xbox game pricing. So I post these little shorts sometimes from the show over on Threads, where you can follow me at andrew.m.b. I said, people are mad at Xbox, but these new games that are coming out on Game Pass from last week's show show the pricing of these new tiers is actually competitive. People are mad at Xbox. They don't love that it costs more, that they increased the ultimate price by 50%, that they reduced some benefits, whatever. They reconfigured things, and folks are mad. They're saying it's greedy. They're laying people off at Xbox and raising prices while saying profits are high. Yes, it sure seems like they're doing all of those things. So when I talk about it, I'm not talking about whether those things are good or bad. And people will get mad at me about that. They're like, well, you should spend time talking about those things. Maybe I will. I've talked about layoffs on the show. I've just been talking about, do the prices that exist for these tiers today, are they attractive to somebody that would like to pay to get the service that's being offered? My contention is that the answer is yes. And I think that the number of people that are buying Game Pass per capita, I think it's going to go up, not down, even though the prices went up. So I think the revenue is going to go up, and the total subscribers is still going up. We'll see 3 months from now or a year from now, whenever they show it. But over on, there'll probably be a little dip about people that canceled, but then I think it's going to go up. We'll see if I'm wrong. I think that's going to happen. Anyway, my contention is that $15 price point is really, really solid. Because you get games that they've put out for up to, if Microsoft launches a game, they've said in the tiering, within a year, you'll get all the Microsoft first party stuff from launch of any given game. So when Outer Worlds comes out in 2 weeks or next week, is it next week? Within a year, it'll be on the middle tier service. I'm that's pretty good, because I don't need to play Outer Worlds tomorrow, but I like to play it sometime. Anyway, somebody had, where is this? James Hurrell. James, a person who's into gadgets and motorsports. He said, as long as I can still jump up to the top tier, the $30 tier, for 1 month for a particular new release, then drop down again easily a month later, it's still a good option. And I just hadn't thought about that. It's like, oh, not just the $15 tier being like a good value because you get a ton of games and cloud gaming and stuff like that. But also if like Outer Worlds comes out and you're like, man, I really want to play that this month just to get it out of my system. Like I just want to be part of the zeitgeist. I want to play that game this month while everybody else is playing it. It'll only cost me a net $15 more per month. So if I'm always in for 15 a month, then just to play Outer Worlds 2, it cost me 15 more for 30 days. Like that's not bad. That's like an interesting way to think about it. And I hadn't thought about that. So he's sticking with it. I think that's pretty cool. Thanks, James. Okay, I wanted to share this article, talk about it a little bit. This is from Big Nerd Gaming over on Threads. They wrote an article, Weston wrote an article over there called My Top 10 Games I Abandoned and Need to Play Again. Now, around here, we get a bunch of adult gamers that get busy doing things, so much so that we make lists called, I should really get back to that game, abandoning games all the time. He wrote a whole list, a top 10 list. I'll share a couple of them with you. You can look for the rest either by following Big Nerd Gaming or going to bignerdgaming.com and checking it out. So it's exactly what it sounds like. It's like I started to play and then like bailed. So number 10 on the list, I won't share the whole thing, but I'll read a few of them, is Baldur's Gate 3. Yeah, same. Played it, enjoyed it, got busy with something else. Elden Ring, kind of same. Almost for the same reason. Like he'd never beaten a Souls-like, and neither had I. But I was like, I wanted to play with everybody else. You know, it was a new one coming out, a new type, it wasn't like Dark Souls 15, Dark Souls 3. It was new. And so I was like, oh, I'll jump on the new thing. Turns out it's very much like the old thing, but it's also new and different. Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. I started this year thinking I would beat this game. I'm no closer to it. But you know what? They're not selling an exclusive t-shirt if you beat the game, like they are with Ghost of Tsushima. And I've got 2 months and 10 days. Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain. I heard this one is in 60 FPS in the PlayStation 5. Might go back to it. Returnal. I got so close to beating Returnal. I need to go back and do it. And yeah, I'm not going to read the whole list. You can go there and check out the rest. Thank you to Big Nerd Gaming for posting something pretty cool. Yeah, kind of right up the alley for people that listen to this show, I think. One last thing that I'd like to share with you is I did have a birthday this week, and I got a bunch of gifts, and it was nice. One of the ones I got was this Legend of Zelda encyclopedia. And it's a little bit time limited in that this big, beautiful hardbound book by Dark Horse. It's like 300 or 400 pages, something like that. It has all the Zelda facts, but it is like these LLMs where its training had to stop because this got published back in 2018. So it doesn't have all the information about like Breath of the Wild and everything that's kind of after it. So it's interesting to kind of like have it stop there. But there's still so much information in it. And there's 30 plus years of gaming information about Zelda in it that I was like, oh, let me read a little fact from it for you. So this is, I'm going to read about the historical records of Zelda as it relates to spirits. Because maybe everybody knows about fairies, but less about the spirits in Zelda. Here we go. I'm just going to read a little excerpt. Spirits in The Legend of Zelda produce unique powers and have an astral form different from physical matter. While their true form is technically invisible, they can reveal themselves and communicate by living within or taking on material forms. It's not uncommon for a spirit's appearance to change depending on who they choose to appear to. Rare spirits like the Ocean King watch over entire worlds. Commanded by the goddesses, these and other spirits serve as a connection between people and their creators and have even become to be worshipped as protective deities. In Hyrule, you can often see symbolic marks or names related to Din, Nehru, and Faeror. I was like, okay. Who knew? Legend of Zelda Encyclopedia. Maybe there's an updated version for like the last 7 or 8 years going on, but I don't know. That was pretty neat. I thought that was fun. So thank you for the gift. My mom got that for me, actually. Thanks, Mom. And that's it, folks. We did it. Go to the Patreon, patreon.com/TheAndyB Show if you'd like to support the show, get the Gaming 411 newsletter, and don't miss out. Check the show notes below to get access to that. Thanks so much for listening. I can't wait to talk to you again next time, and have a great week. Bye-bye.